Welcome to Story Quest. Today I will be reading Little Woman, Chapter 9, Part 2. Poor Meg had a restless night and got up heavy-eyed, unhappy, half resentful toward her friends, and half ashamed of herself for not speaking out frankly and setting everything right. Everybody dawdled that morning, and it was noon before the girls found energy enough even to make up their workstead work. Something in the manner of her friends struck Meg at once. They treated her with more respect, she thought, took quite a tender interest in what she said, and looked at her with eyes that plainly betrayed curiosity. All this surprised and flattered her, although she did not understand it till Miss Bell looked up from her writing and said with a sentimental air, "Daisy, dear, I've sent an invitation to your friend, Mr. Lawrence, for Thursday. We would like to know him, and it's only proper compliment to you." Meg colored, but a mischievous fancy to tease the girls made her reply demurely, "You are very kind, but I'm afraid he won't come." "Why not, Sherry?" asked Miss Bell. "He's too old." "My child, what do you mean? What is his age? I beg to know," cried Miss Clara. "Nearly 70, I believe," answered Meg, counting stitches to hide the merriment in her eyes. "You sly creature! Of course we meant the young man," explained Miss Bell, laughing. "There isn't any. Laurie is only a little boy." And Meg laughed also at the weird look which the sisters exchanged as she thus described her supposed lover. "About your age," Nan said. "You're my sister Jo. I'm 17 in August," returned Meg, tossing her head. "It's very nice of him to send him flowers, isn't it?" said Annie, looking wise about nothing. "Yes, he does, to all of us, for their house is full, and we are so fond of them. My mother and old Mr. Lawrence are friends, you know, so it's quite natural that we children should play together." And Meg hoped they would say no more. "It's evident Daisy isn't out yet," said Mrs. Clare to Belle with a nod. "Quite a pastoral state of innocence all around," returned Miss Bell with a shrug. "I'm going out to get some little matters for my girls. Can I do anything for you, young ladies?" asked Mrs. Moffat, lumbering in like an elephant in silk and lace. "No, thank you, ma'am," replied Sally. "I've got my new pink silk for Thursday, and don't want a thing." "Nor I," begged Meg, but stopped because it occurred to her that she did want several things, but could not have them. "What shall you wear?" asked Sally. "My old white one again, if I can mend it to fit to be seen. It got sadly torn last night," said Meg, trying to speak quite easily but feeling very uncomfortable. "Why don't you send home for another?" said Sally, who was not an observing young lady. "I haven't got another." It cost Meg an effort to say that, but Sally did not see it in surprise. "Only that? How funny!" She did not finish her speech, for Belle shook her head at her and broke in, saying kindly, "Not at all. Where is the use of having a lot of dresses when she isn't out yet? There's no need of sending home, Daisy, even if you had a dozen, for I've got a sweet blue silk laid away, which I've outgrown, and you shall wear it to please me, won't you, dear?" "You are very kind, but I don't mind my old dress if you don't. It does well enough for a little girl like me," said Meg. "Now do let me please myself by dressing you up in a style. I admire to do it, and you'd be a regular little beauty with a touch here and there. I shan't let anyone see you till you are done. Then we'll burst upon them like Cinderella and her godmother going into the ball," said Belle. in her persuasive tone. Meg couldn't refuse the offer so kindly made, for a desire to see if she would be a little beauty after touching up caused her to accept and forget all her former uncomfortable feelings towards the Moffats. On the Thursday evening, Belle shut herself up with her maid, and between them they turned Meg into a fine lady. They crimped and curled her hair, they polished her neck and arms with some fragrant powder, touched her lips with salve to make them redder. They would have added a touch of rouge if Meg had not rebelled. They laced her into a sky blue dress, which was so tight she could hardly breathe, and so low in the neck that modest Meg blushed at herself in the mirror. A set of silver filigree was added, bracelets, necklace, brooch, and even earrings, where they tied them on with a bit of pink silk, which did not show. A cluster of tea rosebuds at the bosom and a ruche reconciled Meg to the display of her pretty white shoulders, and a pair of high-heeled silk boots satisfied the last wish of her heart. A lace handkerchief, a plumy fan, and a bouquet in a shoulder holder fashioned her off. Miss Belle surveyed her with the satisfaction of a little girl with a newly dressed doll. Mademoiselle is charming, isn't she? Cried Hortense, clasping her hands in affected rapture. Come and show yourself, said Miss Belle, leading the way to the room where the others were waiting. As Meg went rustling after, with her long skirts trailing, her earrings tinkling, her pearls waving, and her heart beating, she felt as if her fun had really begun at last, for the mirror had plainly told her that she was a little beauty. Her friends repeated and pleasing praise enthusiastically, and for several minutes she stood, like a jackdaw in the fable, enjoying her borrowed plumes, while the rest chattered like a party of magpies. While I dress, do you drill her, stand in the management of her skirt and those French heels, or she will trip herself up. Take your silver butterfly and catch up that long curl on the left side of her head, Clara. And don't any of you disturb the charming work of my hands, said Belle, as she hurried away, looking pleased with her success. You don't look a bit like yourself, but you are very nice. I'm nowhere beside you, for Belle has heaps of taste, and you are quite French, I assure you. Let your flowers hang, don't be so careful of them, and be sure you don't trip, returned Sally, trying not to care that Meg was prettier than herself. Keeping the warning carefully in mind, Margaret got safely downstairs and sailed into the drawing rooms where the Moffats and a few early guests were assembled. She very soon discovered that there is a charm about fine clothes which attracts a certain class of people and secures their respect. Several young ladies who had taken no notice of her before were very affectionate all of a sudden. Several young gentlemen who had only stared at her at the other party not only stared but asked to be introduced, and said all manner of foolish but agreeable things to her. And several old ladies who sat on the sofas and criticized the rest of the party inquired who she was with an interested air. She heard Mrs. Moffat reply to one of them, Daisy March, father, a colonel in the army, one of our first families, a reverse of fortunes, you know. Intimate friends of the Lawrences, sweet creatures, I assure you. My Ned is quite wild about her. Dear me, said the old lady, putting up her glasses for another observation of Meg, who tried to look as if she had not heard, and been rather shocked at Mrs. Moffat's fibs. The weird feeling did not pass away, but she imagined herself acting the new part of fine lady, and so got on pretty well. though the tight dress gave her a side ache. The train kept getting under her feet, and she was in constant fear lest her earrings should fly off and get lost or broken. She was flirting her fan and laughing at the feeble jokes of a young gentleman who tried to be witty, when she suddenly stopped laughing and looked confused, for just opposite she saw Laurie. He was staring at her with undisguised surprise and disapproval also, she thought. For though he bowed and smiled, yet something in his honest eyes made him blush, and wished she had her old dress on. To complete her confusion, she saw Belle nudge Annie, and both glanced from her to Laurie, who she was happy to see, looking unusually boyish and shy. Silly creatures to put such thoughts into my head. I won't care for it, for let it change me a bit, thought Meg, and rustled across the room to shake hands with her friend. I'm glad you came. I was afraid you wouldn't, she said with her most grown-up air. Joe wanted me to come and tell her how you looked, so I did, answered Laurie without turning his eyes upon her, though he half smiled at her maternal tone. What shall you tell her? Asked Meg, full of curiosity to know his opinion of her, yet feeling at ease with him for the first time. I shall say I didn't know you, for you look so grown up and unlike yourself. I'm quite afraid of you, he said, fumbling with his glove button. How absurd of you. The girls dressed me up for fun, and I rather like it. Wouldn't Jo stare if she saw me? Said Meg, bent on making him say whether she thought her improved or not. Yes, I think she would, returned Laurie gravely. Don't you like me so? Asked Meg. No, I don't, was the blunt reply. Why not? In an anxious tone. He glanced at her frizzled head, bare shoulders, and fantastically trimmed dress with an expression that abashed her more than his answer, which had not a particular of his usual politeness in it. I don't like fuss and feathers. That was altogether too much from a lad younger than herself, and Meg walked away, saying, You are the rudest boy I ever saw. Feeling much ruffled, she went and stood at a quiet window to cool her cheeks, for the tight dress gave her an uncomfortable brilliant color. She stood there. Major Lincoln passed, and a minute after she heard him saying to his mother, They are making a fool of that little girl. I wanted you to see her, but they spoiled her entirely. She's nothing but a doll tonight. Oh dear, sighed Meg. I wish I'd been sensible and worn my own things. Then I should not have been disgusted other people, or felt so uncomfortable and ashamed of myself. She leaned her forehead on the cool pane and stood half hidden by the curtains, ever minding that her favorite waltz had begun, till someone touched her, and turning she saw Laurie looking penitent, and he said, with his very best bow and his hand up, Please forgive my rudeness and come and dance with me. I'm afraid it will be too disagreeable to you, said Meg, trying to look offended and failing entirely. Not a bit of it. I'm dying to do it. Come, I'll be good. I don't like your gown, but I do think you are just splendid. And he waved his hands as if words failed to express his admiration. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please like and share. If you have not done so already, please subscribe and hit that bell notification for future videos.